So I've got a question for you. Is your life exactly where you want it to be? Are you making the money that you want to make? Are you in the job, your dream job that you always thought about? Well, how about if I tell you that your level of success right now is directly related to how much you do or do not keep your agreements, your promises? Did you know that 99% of failure comes from being in a very bad habit of not keeping your agreements and instead making excuses? We are going to dive into that today. Are you ready? Let's go. Look, if you want to get the job of your dreams, make the money that you've always wanted to make, have success in college or transitioning to the workforce, stick around to the end because you're going to find out exactly how to do that. We are here with another Kristin and Charlie chat. I'm Kristin Smedley here with Charlie Collins, the co-founders of Thriving Blind Academy, and we are talking all about keeping agreements, keeping promises today. So, Charlie, let's dive into this. What is it about being trustworthy and having respect, being respected, and having credibility? What is it about those that are so correlated to our success?
Because the people that we're connecting to, working with, following, getting mentored by, looking to grow in our businesses and our lives, that's how they do it. And it's like you won't align with people if, oh yeah, I'll give you a call in the afternoon, or let me shoot you that email tomorrow, and think you don't follow through. Well, those people that follow that, they stick to their agreements, they keep them, and they stick to them. They don't tolerate that, and and I'm wondering why. Why? I mean, I sent you the email. Yeah, it was a day late. What's the big deal? Well, it's a massive deal, And it's like, why? Well, I wanna have peace of mind. I want to feel content. I want to feel confident reaching out and putting myself out there, and that comes with some sort of follow-up agreements made.
There's that saying that your net worth, wait a minute, your network determines your net worth.
Your net worth is tied to your net worth.
I had it like inside out and backwards, but you get the point. Right. It's your network, looking at your network and how that really is a factor of your success. You don't want to end up demolishing a network. You want to build the network, So here's a case in point. I do not like to, and I actually just don't do it anymore. I don't connect people in my network with other people if they're not trustworthy, keeping agreements, someone I can rely on. Because the last thing I want is for someone to leave doing business with me or collaborating with me on projects. I don't want them to leave me because I've connected them to somebody that sucks. It's not the nicest word in the world, but I don't want to demolish my reputation as being credible and trustworthy by connecting somebody that isn't. And if you're looking, this is like a tough love episode. If you're looking at your network and thinking, wow, people don't really refer me, or I don't have a lot of opportunities through the people that I know, think about it. Are you keeping your word? Are you keeping your promises and your agreements?
We work so hard to build up credibility, integrity, and to be a trustworthy person. So it's fragile. You got to be very careful how you put that out there. But if I'm going to extend that and say, hey, there's a neighbor asked me, can you recommend somebody to fertilize my lawn? And that's a yes. I will make a recommendation because this company will call, will show up, will give a fair price, will show up on the Monday they say they're gonna. So they keep their agreements. And because of that, I've had them for 20 plus years and I have no problem referring them out. But that isn't the case a lot with businesses and things. So there's agreements. So we have agreements, like you said, promises, sticking to what we said, our word, how we show up. So we have work, right? We all keep our agreements at work. Our employers expect that. They want us to come in on time. They want us to stay till the end of the day. They would like to, I have agreed to make these calls. I've agreed to, so it's like, so at work it's a little easier, but still could be a struggle at times to keep your agreements, because if you don't, there's no more paychecks. And so there's a little more consequences. And then you got your family, your agreements at home with the kids, with your wife, your spouse, and those types of agreements. And then you got friends out there, you got neighbors, you got all this stuff going on. And my biggest one, and I think is the most important is to ourselves. You know, how we talk to ourselves, what we say, because we all do this. We say, you know, I really got to get back to working out. And so I'm now forming an agreement that I'm going to start tomorrow. And you know, but then you don't, and you create a story around that. Well, you know, I slept, whatever it is. We all know. But it's okay, so I missed it. And maybe finally I got back on track. But what happens is when I say to myself, I'm not going to do this, or I'm going to start doing this, things that'll help improve my life, right? I don't say I'm going to agree to watch 5 hours of Netflix during the day. I mean, that would, it'd be like, you know, that doesn't help us. It doesn't help move us in the direction that we're all working towards here at the SuccessAbility channel and in Thriving Blind Academy. So I don't feel good about it, and something happens, and even though I try to blow it off, right? I just say, well, you know, it's okay. I believe my story. That's why it didn't happen. I just move on. But it stays in us, and over time, as you start realizing that I'm blowing off agreements, you pay the price. And you know what happens is, and we all have these people in our lives, right? We have people that maybe at family functions, they're always late. And it's okay, because it's not a scheduled appointment like a business deal. Like if that was a business thing, I wouldn't get many more new appointments if I always showed up late. People don't tolerate that. It's like they have a schedule. They have appointments. They have a life to run. And now I'm interrupting that by doing what I want. And it's like, that's not acceptable. But when you're having a family gathering, you know, and the family's saying, oh, when so-and-so, oh, well, they're always late. And that person either, you know, comes walking in and tells you the story why for the 900th time they're late. And like, you're going to believe it. And, but they believe it. And, or they just, no big deal. I'm here. I'm not late. When I got here, it was the right time. Like, they don't say that, but you can tell it's not a big deal to them. And what does that agreement, boy, that one really, I learned a lot. It's just like, that one hurts. I mean, of course, in family, it's like, I have no expectation. I don't ask for anything. Don't bring this dish for the dinner, because you might be coming in when we're eating. So you know how to work with that. But I wouldn't dare tolerate that in a business. I wouldn't have friends like that. I can't choose my family. And it's okay. Instead of getting worked up and, you know, she's always, you know, I don't pay the price for the suffering they're creating in their life, you know? So, and we're going to talk more about it. So I just wanted to lay a little, to help us think as we're moving through this, because that's what helped me get free of that excuse making, and kind of got used to it. It's weird. It's like, and the problem was I was piling too much on myself. I was growing in business and things were happening, and, you know, so more was coming at me, and I was agreeing to more things. And the next thing I know, I can't possibly do all this. So I had to tell you why.
Well, here's the thing. Let me unpack a few things that you said in there. I think that where this all begins, for people that are now sitting there going, well, I guess I'm one of the sucky ones, and I'm not keeping my promises because I'm overloaded and I've got a lot going on. I've got maybe kids at home, you're starting businesses, or you're doing a transition time in your life. What you said, Charlie, I believe is really where we need to begin. Keeping agreements with yourself. And I learned that, well, I learned it years ago and then I kind of fell off the wagon with it. And now I am like adamant about this because I realize as I look back on my journey, the most success I have had every single time, it's when I'm like pounding my fist. I don't know if you can hear me pounding it. Every single time, it's when I've kept the agreements and promises that I've made to myself first and then can show up better for other people. So a couple of examples are, as a mom, I made the agreement with myself first all those years ago that although I wasn't quite sure what the journey with raising two blind kids was going to look like, my role and my agreement was that I was going to show up for them and get them learn about every tool and resource they needed and work like hell to get it for them. Now that I made with myself first, and then it was an agreement I made, well, sort of with my kids, they were little, but a decision and a promise that I made to them. Recently, though, it's been about my health and making an agreement with myself that I'm going to eliminate the things in my life that were getting in the way of me showing up as my best speaker, my best business partner, my best author, all of the things that I do in this world. And I did a lot of research for a couple of months to figure out what it was that just wasn't working for me health-wise. And it was, I don't want to get into a whole debate of food, but for me personally, it was sugars, processed foods, going to bed too late at night, a couple of different things. So I made an agreement with myself, like even soda. I made an agreement with myself years ago to never go back to soda, and it has been one of the greatest things that ever happened to me. But to the point that you made, Charlie, when you make the agreement with yourself first, then start looking at honoring all the agreements you make with other people. And you said it best. You can't do everything because then you end up piling it all on and then the shame comes in and you blame yourself and the confidence is down and you're not keeping agreements anywhere because you're too overloaded. So one of the key things about this is saying no, taking things off the plate. That helps to make that transformation into having the time, energy, capability to keep your agreements with the people like yourself that you said yes to.
I feel okay, but I want to feel better. So I need to educate myself on what's going on. Okay, and some things are obvious. Most of us will say, "Oh yeah, I want to get healthier." Oh. And what does that look like? Healthier. And okay, and why? Well, I want to have more energy. Okay. And what are the things that are causing you not to feel healthy? Not focusing on health. So what I'm saying is like they're not ready to make an agreement. And they are me at one time in my life. It's like, don't ask those questions, please. That's irritating me. I'm just saying it so you believe, because I don't believe I'm going to do it. I just say it. It's like, are you really? Do you want to agree to creating a plan that you're going to stick to? Now, this isn't easy. It is simple because it's right in front of you. But there's, if you want to stick to your agreement to yourself, you're going to be so amazed before you're halfway through. In a short amount of time, you're going to feel a little lighter, and you haven't even lost weight yet. You're going to feel better. You're going to feel more committed to it. But it's always getting over, don't say it if you're not going to do it. Oh, gosh, I was one of those. And it's like, why did I do that? Why would I say it? I don't know. I wanted to fit in. I wanted to be part of them. But I knew deep down I'm not as smart, or you know what I mean. Those stories that we created that kept us stuck. And I had to shine light on that stuff. And if I'm gonna make an agreement, like you said, I gotta remove the problem, focus on the solution, share it with people, and because now I've really got to stick to it. And follow through, and in a short amount of time, the feeling, the why starts happening, and then it becomes easier. Then you're like, oh, okay, what else? What other agreements do I need to make? But yeah, that's it. And then it's so. I mean, keeping agreements with others is easier because I don't want to let them down. But why am I making this agreement? Why did I say I would come? We're all hanging out and the guys are like, hey, next Saturday, let's go bowling. Okay. I'm just saying something, and I was in the moment. I'm like, all right, I'm in. And I didn't think it through. I just said it. And then it's Friday. I'm like, oh, no. I don't want to go bowling tomorrow. Why did I say I would? And then I got to say, hey, guys, something came up. It's called my mind, and it's called dishonesty, and it's called I'm not willing to tell you the truth for some reason. Something came up, and I got to miss bowling this time. And I went out when I cleared up this stuff, and I made amends to people like, hey, I don't know. Maybe it was we were going go-karting or something, and I didn't go. And it's like, here's the story why. And, it triggers that principle we do, taking responsibility. I wasn't taking responsibility. I was blaming. I was complaining about things. I was justifying why it was okay for me to miss what I already said I was going to show up at. I was defending my story. If somebody questioned it, well, yeah, there are, and I had that failure rate of making excuses. So, you want to talk about, and then what happens is that we kind of start stepping away from people, and they step away. Well, don't bother inviting him, because even if he says he's coming, he isn't going to show up. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I don't want to be that guy. We become, so we're not trusted. We're not a go-to people that people won't come to us to talk to us about things or anything that really matters because they don't trust. They don't feel the value we're providing because our track record has shown differently, because this is where our actions speak much louder than our words. You were talking about children. It's like anything I said is my number one why is to be the best role model I can be for my children. And especially to the teens. I know they don't want to hear it, but they see it. So they hear it, and maybe this is how I'm living my life. This is what I'm doing today. And I do not want to go into their bedroom at night and say, I thought you were going to do that today. Well, this guy, I don't want to be that storyteller. I shouldn't have said I was going to do something if I'm not going to do it. Stop and think before you open your mouth. Stop. And it's like you were saying, say no to things and just get more focused on the quality of life you want to lead.
Well, let's dive into that word focus for a second or at least pause on it in terms of parenting. When you hit the nail on the head I forget where I first heard it about more is caught than taught. Kids are watching us, and if you are constantly not keeping agreements and keeping promises and making excuses, what do you think they're learning? I mean, we're their first and most prominent teachers in their life, and then we turn around and get mad at them that they're not keeping promises and agreements, especially in school. Now, I've actually watched this play out over the course of Michael's K-12 and then through college, my oldest son, watching how he was a young man that was very focused on keeping agreements. Was probably one of his top 5 that he doesn't even know it, that I just witnessed about him. If he says he's going to do something, he does it. I mean, it's so crazy that even when he was graduating Penn State, last week, in the final weeks, that there was some paper due, but the media went a little crazy with him when he landed the job in Disney and was summa cum laude with Penn State. With the blindness, it was like this hoopla of how did he manage to do this? And for the first time ever, he forgot to hand in an assignment. He was out of his mind over that, calls the professor, and he said, I don't even know what to say. I got so overwhelmed. But never in my school career have I ever missed an assignment. That's how this was like a top 5 for Michael keeping agreements. But here's the reason I'm doing the big mom brag. It's not just a mom brag right now. When Michael went for that job in Disney, in the blindness community, we have a 70% unemployment rate. There's a lot of bias against blindness. So there was a big mountain to climb for Michael to go get a job in the first place, let alone his number one dream job at Disney World as a sound engineer. when he was going through the interview process, of course they check your references, right? Well, of course, a big company like that has a big reputation, they're not just checking the references that Michael gave them. They're asking a lot of questions from around the industry and the programs that Michael had been a part of. Wanted to know more about this guy. All of that work of Michael focusing on being a person of integrity, of honesty, of trustworthiness, of credibility, of keeping his agreements throughout his life, all came to fruition in this moment of getting his dream job, because everyone's feedback was, this is a guy that not only will work at the highest level and will figure things out no matter the challenges, you can rely on him. And unfortunately, there's not a lot of other candidates his age going for positions like that a lot of people can say that about, being one that keeps agreements. So it really was quite a moment of proof of how important it is, and how important it is that we as parents set them up to be the kind of people that are trustworthy and credible.
Do what I say, not what I do. Because I know everything and you're the kid. Do what I say, not what I do. Well, I already do that because I watch you. And you don't do what you say. So what makes me believe that you know? Maybe you do. So people think knowledge is power. No, it isn't. There's a lot of smart people that are losers. It's true. It's not power at all, but the application and becoming an example of what you know and how you live your life. That's where the power is. Those smart people that just yap, not fans of mine. So, I want to, you said something, Michael, with, he missed the assignment and I don't know, I got overwhelmed and all that. And it's like, that's a good revelation, but then I step it back. I say, what did I do? Because no one outside of me created my overwhelm or my anxiety or my whatever label I'm going to give it. So what did I do that I allowed many more things to enter into my environment that created my overwhelm? And how can I get better from this point? What agreements did I make and commitments to others and show up in parties and end of the year? And, there's so much going on that I allow, because that's going to happen all through life. It's going to, complacency, those of us who are thrivers and looking to grow, we take on more. And then things get better and oh no, I just realized I'm out of control again. Maybe not so much out of control, but I realized that I am taking on too much. And I'm a believer that I need to stick to my word. I need to stick to my agreements.
Well,
so
wait, let me just interject for one thing here for parents out there, especially moms, while we're on this topic of the overwhelm. You know what I used to do? And I've caught myself and made myself stop. I made an agreement with myself to stop. I would take on a bunch of things, and then I would be honoring all of those commitments and in total overwhelm. And you know who I took it out on? The people in my house. Then I'm freaking out. Why didn't you keep your room clean? Or why didn't you get on your laundry schedule? Now you're in my way with my laundry schedule because I'm overwhelmed because I said yes to too many things. And I realized it last year when we were in the move to our new house. And I thought, I made the agreement, and I actually sat my kids down and I apologized that all has happened. And I tend to get into that, and made an agreement to stop. I can see it coming, and then I stop myself. I guess now I have to get to the point where I don't even do it anymore. But to your point of looking at your own responsibility in getting into overwhelm in the first place, and then apologizing when it happens. Sorry, I was like, I just want to make this point before I end up losing it.
No, it's the compound effect of what happens when we start blaming, complaining, taking on too much, not holding our agreements. It just triggers trains of unfortunate circumstances. I almost did it again. I did that on our Monday thing. I made up a darn word. It just doesn't feel good. It's like, gosh, I can't believe these creatures in my house aren't making me happy. Hold on. Let me take care of me and realized, like you said, I got to take a look at this. Life was difficult because the story of my blindness and the story I wasn't going to amount to anything, that I was never going to get the job, all the things we talk about. I was that guy. I wanted the job of my dreams, but I was too afraid. I wanted to be an independent out on my own, but really what I wanted was to have good eyesight and to drive, and forget all that other stuff. Because if I had those two things, everything else would fall into place. And I believed that lie for many years, and I paid the price. So I didn't keep agreements. I didn't make any. And anything I said to myself, I didn't say anything because I wasn't going to do anything. I got offered a job at a motorcycle dealership. But one of the scariest things in my life was saying yes to that. And I wanted to let him know I'm going to fail. So you're not the smartest guy in the world asking me to work for a real company. But what I did was I kept my agreements. I over-delivered. I went the extra mile. I worked on my days off. I showed up early, stayed late, helped others and I didn't know success principles back then. I knew something clicked in me that I knew to do that. And I would help the other employees. I came to life. Part of it was I accepted my IDCs. I moved some of the blocks in me that weren't allowing me to live that life by acceptance, by asking for help, by introducing adaptive technology into my life, not telling myself the real harsh things anymore. I was trying, dipping my toe into this success life. And, 3 years from that point, I was the VP. I became the vice president and part owner of that company. And it's like, how is that possible? Well, keep it simple. Show up. Don't say you're going to do something and not do it. So I always said I'm going to do. And where I saw it was my customers. It's like, you just bought a motorcycle, a snowmobile, an ATV, a water vehicle. You just bought something from my dealership. And I said, what do you want this by? Tuesday. Okay. Late in the afternoon. And Tuesday, 3 p.m. Okay. And then sometimes I'd say, I can't get it by Tuesday, but I could do it by Thursday. And is that okay with you? And people were very good. But what I noticed prior to me was they were never on time. The customer would show up. And they would still be rushing. And the customer, I said, no, this isn't going to work. So I went over and started working with the department. And what can I do to help? What's your scheduling like? What do you do? What's getting in your way? You agreed when I brought this deal to you that you were going to have it ready for me. Okay? And because if you fail me, I fail my customer, and my customer then tells people, and it hurts everybody. So, stop it. And what can I do? So there were times, I was over there cleaning the motorcycles or whatever the product, I was helping them and then get it so when the customer walked in the door, I might have tied a balloon to it and put it in the center of the dealership, this is the most important thing right now, is the fact you're walking in. How did I know all that? I don't know. I just that's how I want to be special. I just drop some serious cash. I want to feel like the king until I get my first payment. And but anyway, and that's what I did, and it took off. Now, these guys started doing everything on time because they liked the feeling. They saw, I explained the chain of and that's the thing. If we think about our kids, and then if our kids are because we're not following through, and then they're starting to be that with their friends, they're not going to have the best. This is the trickle effect that we do that. And then I I started my new company. Well, it's not new. It was back in 1997, but the company that I wanted to help people suffering and living with any type of vision impairment regain independence and live a real happy, good, thriving life. And I did that. But because of that success and so much happening, I started failing on agreements and blowing them off I'm here now. I don't need those lesser agreements, even though I'm a people pleaser. I don't want to say no. I don't want to hurt your feelings. So I'm going to say yes, but I know deep down I'm really probably not going to show up or make that call or do something. And I paid the price, and it hurt. I didn't like myself. Things were, it's just like, gosh, why do I do that? Well, step back and think about it. And really, so I transformed. What did I do? You said it earlier. First, I discovered the problem. And guess what? It's never been anywhere but me. It's never been outside of me. Okay, that's a tough pill to swallow. I spent a lot of my life blaming, it's my parents' fault, it's God's fault, it's my teacher's fault. How could it be me? I didn't ask for legal blindness, but that wasn't the problem. I realized it was what I thought about it was the problem. Mm-hmm. What? Well, no one taught me how to think. They told me, you do this, you learn this class, you show up they were building me to be an employee. Keep my mouth shut, show up, and just be one of the many that just go to work every day and blah, 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 and I just really dove into this, and I started just questioning, and I started cleaning that stuff up. And I said no to things. This isn't aligned with my mission, my values, and the why, the impact I want to make. I do want to help you, and I do want to do all this stuff, but I can't do it all. No, I it's not about can't or can. It's I choose not to. And I appreciate you for thinking of me. But at this time in my life, I cannot commit to that, because when I commit now, that's some serious stuff. That's like, serious. I can't think of a thing, but it's like an agreement. I'm forming an agreement. That's like a contract. That's like, you now can take my house if I don't follow through. That's the level I put it on. I don't mess around. And I don't mess around with people who don't see it that way.
Yeah, but you made a really important point there that I think people need to land on for a second. You said, I can't do this right now. I cannot have that agreement with you right now. I don't have the time for that commitment. The right now, and especially like for me as a mom of, my kids, my last one is in high school. I do have time now to say yes to more things than I could when everybody was home. And I think that people that do have kids at home have to realize that this might just not be the time for you to say yes to everything and then not be making agreements and create this terrible spiral and be this horrible role model, right? Put it on pause. There are things that you can say, you know what, not right now, but let me revisit that, or come back to me in a year, or I will have time to publish that book later when at least one of my kids is in college. Think about it that way, that there's like seasons for things. I like that you pointed that out. It might just be not right now. Later.
Kristin, this goes as simple as somebody says, they send you a text, say, hey, I'll call you later on today. And the call never comes in. Mm. And there's people that just don't acknowledge it and call when they want a couple days later and pretend they never sent that text. Hey, on Tuesday at 3:02 p.m., I received a text. And so I usually don't take the call. I listen to the message. And then people don't leave messages. They just hang up. I don't return missed calls, ever. And if I'm not that important, or you're just wasting time calling me and you don't take the time to leave a message and give me the reason that I'm going to waste my time to call you back, I'm not. And that's because I manage my time, my agreements, and who I stay connected to. And I tell people, hey, if you're going to call me and you don't leave a message, you will not get a return call from me. That's an agreement I'm making with you right now, whether you like it or not. That's the way it is.
Wait, here's the part where we should give out Charlie's number and everybody can call and leave a message.
Here's the part that I'm going to edit that right out. Because, it's that texting, but then it's the voicemail you get that, hey, let's get together real soon. Okay. I can agree to that because there's no specificity and there's no commitment in there. And it's like, I know I want to too, but maybe in 2 years, it's okay. But it's the ones that say, hey, I'm going to do this. I'm going to send you that email. I got to send you that shirt back. And you know what I mean? It's just never ending. And my God, and it's like so many people do that. And in family. My family watches this, so I'm not using names. I love you all.
Everybody's
and you think blindness is in your eyes. Oh, baby, it ain't.
No, no.
Because you become blind to the fact that you're not fulfilling your agreements. If nobody holds you accountable and says, hey, you said you were going to do this, you didn't, that doesn't work for me. Can we renegotiate our agreement? Or next, I'm done. And that's what I do. And it's like, I'll give you, if I'm giving you more than 3 chances, then I'm the idiot.
Right. Once, twice, 3 times, that's all my fault. Wait, I want to make sure before we have to wrap up, I want to make sure we make this one point for people that are thinking, still having, I know that you still have excuses running in your mind, because for those that are thinking for this specific case scenario, you mentioned earlier about getting to a job on time and keeping your agreement and being an employee that shows up and does all those things. I know you all. I know a lot of you are sitting out there saying, yes, but I rely on public transportation, or I rely on Uber or Lyft. And if they are late, making me late, that's not my fault. Guess what? Yes, it is. It's still, you have to honor the agreement. And we actually got into this really deep in the Thriving Blind Academy member and mentor calls this week. And I'm only going to give 2 quick highlights. One of them is folks that are very successful without sight in the blind community, working in the jobs that they want, or retired from the jobs that they want, living the life now. Their thing was they always had a backup plan for transportation. That's what it means to really be keeping your agreement of being an on-time employee. So if you're relying on public transportation or Uber, that you do this, you plan way in advance, like you schedule the Uber in advance, you take the earlier train. One of our mentors was saying he always arrived at least 45 minutes early to work because he loved to sit in the coffee room and get the dish from people or find out what projects people were working on. It worked out really cool. So you plan in advance that even if the train happens, you're there, it's so early that you have time to make up for it. And the other thing I'll say is the way that my son Michael did that. He did not want to take the school bus in high school. He had friends that would drive him because he had a special parking permit for a close lot, but he had a list of people, and he made it very known up front that he wanted to be at school early, like painfully early. So if you didn't want to get there that early, you were out because he didn't want the stress, and you could be late once for him, get him to school late once, and then if you ever did it again, you were off the list, and he had a whole list of people that would fill in. But to the point of, yeah, there are things out of your control that sometimes get in the way of you making your agreements, keeping your agreements rather, but you plan in advance and really take, as Charlie has said, I think 4 or 5 times today, responsibility, and make the plans to make it work out. And then when you do have something happens, like, when I couldn't get any trains a couple weeks ago from the Northeast down to DC and had to come up with like a plan D, that's when, if you're late for meetings and it's once in a great while, then people say, oh my gosh, it must have been this horrible thing that happened because you're always on time. Then they give you grace with that.
And you're okay sharing the story. It's those that kind of can't even look you in the eye because they're coming in late and running, and they're like everyone's like, oh boy, here we go. We got to hear this story again. That's not the person you are. So nobody expects, you're not ready to cover your tracks.
Yeah.
So,
hey, nice pun. I get it. Tracks, train. Look at that.
Yeah. So I just, it's why did you make the agreement? Okay. Or promise. Or why did you say something that you yourself aren't willing to follow through on, but you expect someone else to? Why you offering agreements to kids or relatives or spouses or neighbors, hey, you should, you know what I mean? Why are you doing that, but not willing to take the risk and stick to it in your own life? I ask. These are the types of things I said to myself. If I'm going to get a job, start a company, or do something that involves me outside of my very successful home environment that I have created to have success with legal blindness, everything works. Well, We had a little issue earlier, but I was able to, because of my skills and all the work I did, to fix it. But if I said to that motorcycle employer, oh, 9 o'clock in the morning, I don't drive. Yeah, well, what does that have to do with you being here at 9 o'clock? Who's going to pick me up? You know, I mean, that's the victim mentality. I mean, it's not my fault. It's not my problem. I offered you a position. You come here at 9. If it doesn't work out for you, then you don't get to work here. And it's like, so I had to make it work. And how do you make it work? You line up. I had my parents when I needed a ride. I maybe had a little moped. I had my wife at times. I wasn't married back then, but it came right shortly thereafter. I had my aunt and uncle on deck. I had people. I said, listen, I'm stepping in. I'm going to need help. And there might be times I need a ride. And so I set myself up so I didn't go, oh my gosh, on Wednesday I have no way to get to work. What am I going to do? I don't want to call the owner of the company and say, yeah, it's me again. Mm-hmm. I'm really sorry, but I can't get there until 10 a.m. And, it's like, why? What happened? How did you not plan correctly? And when we do that, then it's easier to make agreements because, wait a minute, this sounds great in the moment, but I need to think about this. Let me get back to you before I can commit. Because an agreement to me is committing. And committing it's a done deal. You fail on commitments, you really suffer. Okay, if I fail on my commitments, I pay the price dearly. And when I succeed on a commitment, same thing. You're going to pay a price either way. Do you want to, pay it for self-pity, suffering, poor me, and depression? Okay. Or do you want to pay it for success, peace of mind, joy, and more success? It's your choice.
Hey, that's what I think people should put in the comments now as we wind up this conversation. Are you ready? Are you on board with keeping agreements, and where are you going to focus? Do you realize that you've got to back up and start keeping agreements with yourself? Is that where you need to work on this? Or are you pretty good there and now you're going to start looking at keeping the agreements with your family, your coworkers, your employer, outside of you? I'd be interested. We'll both be interested to see those comments and where you all are focusing. It's been another good chat, Charlie.
It's been a fantastic chat. It's been fun. And inside the platform, inside the Thriving Blind Academy, as Kristin said, we dive deeper in. We talk more. We give more things that we work together to help us solve these problems, work through them, and find a better way that works better for each individual. And so, this has been great because, Kristin, you and I working every week, a lot during the week, but you know what I mean? And focusing on this, it removes because guess what? Life, there's adversity, there's chaos, there's difficult people, difficult situations, there's sucker punches, there's blindsided. All of that is going to happen. Guaranteed. And if it hasn't, it will. So it's like the success mindset, the Thriving Blind Success Academy, a place I can come to and, oh gosh, there's a way, or, oh, I'm not the only one who's faced this adversity, or it's been amazing. I've grown so much. It's been such a great journey just since we launched the platform. We're going to change the world, but we got to start here. Because we're big thinkers, you and I. We got to be careful. We go off course. Oh no, let's come back.
I know we got a lot going on.
So thank you for watching. We can't wait to see you inside the community. Share this with people that you think need to change. No, I'm only kidding. That you think you can help. And but first, let's practice these in our own lives. What we say is not nearly as important as what we do.
Yep. And hey, an agreement you can have right now is to subscribe to the channel so that you get these new videos as they come out and stay on this journey with us of success and thriving no matter the adversity that comes your way. So it's subscribe and then hit the notification bell. Look, I've made an agreement with myself to get to know You too better. This is a fun journey. All right, we'll see you in the next one.
Side note, I'm keeping that boo-boo in. Bye.